Once upon a time, there was a farmer who woke before dawn, worked until dusk, and never said a word about it. The village called him foolish. His neighbors whispered he was wasting his time. But there was something the village didn't know. Every morning at the first light, he walked to his plot of land. The soil was rocky, stubborn, reluctant to give. Sparse vegetation dotted the field, and the terrain rose and fell with difficulty. Yet he came anyway. His hands moved in the same patterns. His feet walked the same paths. His tools struck the earth with the same steady rhythm. There was a meditation in this repetition, a quiet commitment that needed no explanation. From the village in the distance, they watched. The baker watched. The blacksmith watched. The well digger watched. They saw a man working land that would never produce. They saw effort meeting resistance. They saw a man choosing the hardest possible path and wondering why he didn't simply give up. He had come to this village 3 years ago, and from the very first day, he was different. He had come from another place, carrying something he never spoke about. A failure, perhaps, or a misunderstanding. Something that had taught him a hard lesson about words. He had defended himself before, explained his choices, justified his methods, tried to convince people he was right, and every time it only made things worse. The more he explained, the less they believed him. Their skepticism seemed to grow with each sentence he offered, so he chose a different path. Not bitterness, not coldness, but a quiet wisdom earned through pain. Let the work speak. Other farmers in the village filled the market with their voices. They argued about crop rotation. They debated the best season for planting. They told anyone who would listen about their methods, their successes, their plans. They were social, vocal, certain, quick to judge others, quick to defend themselves. But this farmer was different. He was thoughtful, observant, capable. His hands knew what to do. His eyes read the land like others read books. He worked with clear intention, not laziness. His silence made people suspicious. They thought quietness meant weakness or deception or shame. They didn't understand yet that his silence made him strong. Before the sky held even a hint of color, he woke. His body knew the time without needing to ask. He walked to his plot in darkness, his feet finding the path they had traveled thousands of times. As light began to break, he began to work. His hands moved through the rocky soil with intention. Dig, plant, water, row after row. The same movements, the same dedication. Morning stretched into afternoon, and still he worked. His hands grew calloused. His back bent and straightened in rhythm. The sun crossed the sky above him, indifferent and constant. He watered despite the dry conditions. He tended despite the stubborn earth. Day after day, week after week, the same ritual. In rain, he worked. In heat, he worked. The repetition was hypnotic, almost spiritual, like a meditation, like a prayer spoken without words. But as the weeks passed, the villagers watching turned into whispers. The whispers turned into laughter. It started small, innocent, almost. Just a comment here, a joke there. Yet each one landed differently now. The neighbor's land flourished with traditional methods. Crops grew quickly. The harvest came abundantly. Everyone saw it. Everyone praised it. But the farmer's land, his strange approach, his different methods. The village watched and shook their heads. Look at him, they said, wasting his time on worthless land. The comments started quietly. Private whispers at the market. Doubts shared between friends. But they grew bolder, louder, public. That soil will never produce anything. The village elder announced. He's too stubborn to admit his methods are wrong. He should just leave before he wastes more of our resources. Children began to run past his field, shouting, "Foolish farmer! Foolish farmer!" Adults would pause in their work to watch him, shake their heads, move on. No one offered to help. No one asked to learn. No one believed in him. week by week, the mockery deepened. From quiet skepticism to open jokes to outright social exclusion to direct confrontation, the farmer felt the sting of every comment. He heard the doubt in their voices and felt it creeping into his own heart. What if they were right? What if he truly was foolish? But something inside him refused to break. Something that kept him walking to that field every single morning. One afternoon, when the weight of their judgment felt heaviest, the farmer faced a moment he couldn't ignore. His confidence cracked. Not suddenly, gradually, like a pot left too long in the sun. He began to wonder if his work meant anything at all. Months had passed now. Seasons had changed. Still, his land showed no signs of abundance. Other farmers' harvests arrived abundant and quick and certain. The village celebrated their success. Meanwhile, his field remained sparse. The wealthy farmer passed one morning and laughed out loud, his voice carrying across the valley. The village council met and discussed the failed farmer as though he wasn't listening from just beyond the meeting room. His own mother wrote him a letter asking, quietly, if he had given up. Then his tools disappeared from where he'd left them. When he found them again, they were broken. His neighbor's way of showing contempt, the doubt grew louder, relentless. Maybe they were right. Maybe he had been wrong all this time. Maybe his effort meant nothing. Maybe he should leave before they pitied him completely. He ate alone, worked alone, dreamed alone. The village elder approached one afternoon with false concern in his voice. Son, there's no shame in knowing when to quit. The farmer said nothing, but he thought, or maybe there's shame in quitting too soon. Then came the day that tested him most. The day he almost broke his silence. It was nearly a year now. One brutal afternoon in late summer, he stood in his field and felt the full weight of invisibility. His work was unseen. His effort was unvalued. His persistence was unnoticed. The land still looked sparse. Children pointed from a distance and laughed. A group of farmers passed by, shook their heads at the waste of land, and moved on without a word. He stood there alone and considered, should he just walk away? Would it be easier to let them be right? He sat on the rocky soil. The earth felt cold despite the heat. For the first time, he allowed himself to cry. Not in anger, not in defiance, but in a quiet collapse of hope. Maybe his silence wasn't strength. Maybe it was just loneliness. He whispered to the empty field, "Does anyone care? Does anyone see what I'm doing? Does it matter?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. The farmer sat there, shoulders bent, wondering if tomorrow he would have the strength to return. But then something shifted. Not the weather, not the village's opinion. Something inside him, asterisk an elderly widow found him there. She had never mocked him, never shaken her head, never joined the laughter. She had simply watched, quietly, carefully. Now she sat down beside him on the rocky soil without asking permission. "I've watched you," she said. Her voice was gentle, not pitying, not like the others. "I've watched how you work, and I know something they don't. Seeds take time." The farmer didn't feel better immediately. He still doubted. The questions still echoed. But something in her words opened a door he thought had closed. She didn't offer pity. She asked him a question instead. "Tell me, when you were a boy, did you plant a seed and expect flowers the next day?" "No," he answered. "I learned patience then. Then why have you forgotten it now?" The words landed quietly. The farmer realized something essential. He had been measuring his success on the village's timeline, not nature's timeline. Their impatience didn't change the laws of growth. Their rush didn't make seeds sprout faster. Their doubt didn't determine reality. That conversation changed nothing and everything. The land was still rocky. The village still mocked. But something inside the farmer was different. The farmer looked at his field differently now. What looked like a year of wasted effort was actually a year of hidden growth. The seeds had been germinating beneath the surface all along. The soil had been improving in ways invisible to impatient eyes. The roots had been deepening. The harvest doesn't announce itself until it's ready. He began to notice what had always been there. Richer soil texture where his hands had worked. Deeper greening at the edges of his field. Slight abundance where there had been only barrenness. These signs were everywhere, but he had stopped looking for them because the village had convinced him to stop believing. He realized something essential: he had never been failing. He had been in a phase they couldn't recognize. The phase before the harvest, the shift inside him was quiet and complete. Not bitterness, just clarity. He thought, I don't need them to see it. I just need to keep going until it's undeniable. Your worth isn't determined by who sees it. It's determined by whether it's real. And real things eventually show up. From that day forward, something changed in the farmer. He stopped trying to convince anyone. He stopped defending his methods. He simply continued. Months passed. Then the season shifted. Green shoots appeared in improbable places. Flowers bloomed where there had been only dust. The field transformed from brown and grey to verdant and alive. By month 14, the transformation was undeniable. Not overnight, but unmistakable. The harvest came. Tomatoes hung heavy on vines, their red skin glowing in the afternoon light. The smell of rich soil filled the air. Vegetables of impossible size and beauty grew in earth that the village had called worthless. The farmer didn't rush to announce it. He didn't shout from rooftops. He simply existed with his abundance. His harvest fed his family abundantly. His land became the most fertile in the region. The village could now see it with their own eyes. Other farmers began to approach him quietly. How did you do this? They asked. Will you teach us? He taught them, not because he needed their approval anymore, but because the work had proven itself. The village's abundance grew as they followed his lead. Some felt regret, some felt curiosity, some felt defensive, knowing that admitting he was right meant admitting they were wrong. But the farmer felt something different, not arrogance, just quiet knowing. He had never changed his approach. The approach was right all along. They had simply been looking too soon. When the harvest came, he never said, I told you so. He never rubbed their doubt in their faces. He simply lived his truth. The most powerful people aren't those who shout their worth. They're those who know it quietly and let their work speak. This is the truth the farmer learned. Your worth isn't determined by immediate visibility or external approval. Real value takes time to show. Persistence without proof is its own form of faith, because everyone will be doubted. Everyone will face dismissal. Everyone will have a moment where they question if their effort matters. And in that moment, what saves you is not their approval. It's your own commitment to the truth of your work. Silence in the face of criticism isn't weakness. It's the choice to stop seeking approval from people who aren't invested in your growth. It's the choice to trust your own rhythm. It wasn't easy. There were nights of doubt, but doubt and persistence aren't opposites. They're companions on the path to something real. The farmer once questioned whether his effort mattered because the village said so. Now he knew his effort mattered because the evidence became undeniable. You don't have to convince anyone. You just have to be right. And real things take time to become obvious if you're in a job where no one recognizes your effort. This is for you. If you're in a relationship where your love goes unappreciated, this is for you. If you're building something and everyone's betting against you, this is for you. If you're trying a different path and they're laughing, this is for you. If you feel invisible despite working so hard, this is for you. Stop waiting for them to see it. Your worth doesn't require their recognition. It's normal to doubt yourself when others doubt you. The farmer did too. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're human. Today, Do one thing for yourself, not for their approval. Water one seed. Take one step on your own path, not to prove it to them, but to remind yourself that you believe in it. You're not in the failing phase. You're in the growth you can't see yet phase. Keep going. Not for them, for the harvest that's coming. Because if you quit now, you'll never know what would have grown. The farmers who doubted him eventually learned from him, not because he proved them wrong loudly, but because his truth became undeniable. And that's how real change happens. Quietly, persistently, inevitably. You deserve to trust yourself, even when no one else does. Especially when no one else does. This is a story to tell the young person being mocked for trying something different. This is a story to whisper to yourself on the nights you doubt. This is a story to pass on to anyone who's been told they'll never succeed. The farmer stands in his abundant field at sunset, hands in his pockets, looking at what he's grown, not triumphant, not angry, just at peace with his own truth. The village eats from his abundance. He doesn't need their praise. He has his harvest. Your work doesn't need an audience to be real. Your effort doesn't need an approval stamp to matter. You are enough. Your path is enough. Your persistence is enough. Keep working. The harvest is coming.